Hello and welcome, dear friends of the human family. The general theme is a multidimensional view of this extraordinary situation we find ourselves in. What William Shakespeare also alludes to, the world is a stage. I was talking about how all the politicians and their agents and advisors are all actors that are themselves only acting out the orders that they get, and the higher level of psychopathy they have within them, the more they're going to follow these orders. However, looking at the situation from a higher perspective, what we're being presented with on the stage is just the part of the iceberg that we can see. That which we cannot see in the unseen realm is driving the whole stage to play out, the whole play to play out. Beyond the smokes mirrors of all the actors playing their role in the enslavement of humanity and rolling out this agenda of total control, what is going on backstage and how all of the happenings in the world relate to us as an individual, to us as a human being, and our growth of our soul and our evolution as a soul. So backstage of this theater game is a virus that in South American shamanism is called the Wetiko virus. Crucial importance to realize that there is a metaphysical virus to these scare tactics being used on the world stage, and it is a virus of the mind. It's been going on long before this crisis at the beginning of 2020 kicked off, and maybe there's a reason, a holistic reason, why the theme of a virus is so present and is dominating our lives right now. So I talked about yesterday that this Wetiko virus, the archons or the demiurge in Gnostic philosophy or Satan in the Christian tradition, is really a mind virus. And that's what we can identify as the core problem that we have in the world is a mind virus that is running rampant in people's minds, especially in the ignorant masses that think they can buy themselves their freedom back by taking the V. And this is a subject that we need to look closer into. Okay, what is the nature of this virus and how does it impact on ours, our thinking, on our behavior, and on our life? And I also wanted to remind the viewers yesterday that life is a game. So the way the media coverage, as well as the alternative media coverage of this virus thing, is very confusing. And there's so many elements that you can absolutely lose sight of this and end up in a confused state, not knowing how you as an individual can participate in making the world a better place and making it to the paradise that it was always meant to be. Stepping out of that drama is crucially important. This is what I talked about also yesterday, is yes, we can entertain information on what's going on in the world and keep track with it. However, become aware of your energetic sensation, the emotional sensation that happens within your being, and remove that attachment of emotions and being involved in that game of drama that is playing out world stage. Move yourself after engaging in the information and realize and come back to yourself that ultimately life is a game that is based on principles, and we need to find out those principles to be able to play that game. So what I talked about yesterday was that this Wetiko virus being absolutely horrific, it's pure evil we're dealing here. I don't want to understate that. We're dealing with absolute pure evil. However, it also serves an acceleration of our own awakening to deal with that evil in our own lives. And I'll get into how we can do that, because I myself have gone through difficult times again the last few weeks, which has made me come back to myself and come back much stronger, which is all part of the awakening process. We're not meant to be stuck in this. So life is a game. What are the principles? So what does this Wetiko virus do within our own minds? It hijacks the mind, does it so well that we don't even realize that it has happened. We've become so familiar with it, this feeling of negativity and a feeling of self-doubt and berating ourselves, putting ourselves down, thinking that other people around us are much more worthy of love than we are. All these thoughts that we did choose ourselves from our own conscious choice, which is the very basics of being a creator being. You choose your own thoughts. And those implanted thoughts that disempower us, that confuse us, are the Wetiko virus. That which holds us back in our evolution. That's why religion comes from the root word religare, meaning to hold back evolution. Holding back evolution is the evolutionary force that is this virus, that is Satan, the demiurge, however you want to call it. And it's expert. That their modus operandi is the hijacking the mind, because when they can hijack the mind, they can enter our reality. And a matrix is an artificial reality that is not real. So it's important to make a distinction that in our awakening process, what happens is that we are discovered layer by layer, more and more what original reality really is. So this is what goes back to the Hermetic traditions and all the mystery school traditions, is to get to base reality, to get back to substantial reality, to original reality, to the natural world, by eliminating all of the attachments that we have to artificial worlds that are just simulations in our mind. And an artificial reality is a matrix and is a copy of the original reality, but it is an illusion and it's not real. However, it can be portrayed to be very real, but it only gets real through the emotional attachment we give to it. That's why I was making the point yesterday, to become aware of the emotional attachment that we have world drama state. We need to realize that life is a game when we find out the principle, which is that something only has power over us when we fear that something. When we know that something is a virus in our own mind and is not separate from us, then we don't have to fear it. So by identifying what it is, the fear goes away. As the saying goes, as long as the roots of wickedness is hidden, only then is it strong. When it is discovered, recognized, it dissolves. When this evil is revealed, it perishes. It has to perish, and that's where it ends. So first, we need to recognize what it is, a virus of the mind, and the entire COVIDian cult regime, no matter what manifestation it takes in the form of a psychopathic politician, psychopathic beings that are controlled by this force, the gates of hell, and Satan Schwabs, they're all puppets of this force. This force is what is driving their behavior and which gives them their ideology, and they are basically empty shells doing the bidding of this force that is within each and every one of us. And if we were to discover the workings of this force and reveal how it works and remove our energy attachment to it, it ceases to exist because it's an illusion. So where does this construct of the mind come from? This is what I alluded to in yesterday's video. It happened during childhood. Can we remember when that happened? It doesn't matter, we don't have to remember. It happened at one point. And it's a perpetuation of the same trauma that happened during childhood. Because this matrix construct is based on trauma. The matrix is trauma-based mind control. That's why when we get triggered by happenings in our environment, when we see what goes on in the world, or when we go out into the world and we see what is happening, or people trigger us, that's why trigger is a foundational word, a foundational notion within the field research of trauma-based mind control. Now that trigger we can use for our own awakening, to accelerate our own awakening by realizing what the game is. What is the game live? How are we being played? And by realize how we are being played by this evolutionary force, we can start to play the game ourselves and end this game. This is what we're here for. We're here to end this game that's being played with us, because we didn't come here to suffer. We didn't come here to be ruled by psychopathical maniacs. That is not our destiny. We need to get the learning lesson. This is the key that we need to find to come out of that victim state. We're not victims. Whatever happens as a circumstance in our life, and I know this to be true, we can rise above it and solve it. So traumatization starts in the childhood, and then we keep repeating those traumas. When we get triggered, realize that we need to change our approach toward it. Instead of falling into the trap, being a victim and feeling sad for us, we need to stop judging ourselves. Believing unconsciously, where subconsciously our mind is hijacked, believing that we do not deserve love because of the traumas we experienced as a child. Change the approach and realize I've been triggered and I'm giving myself that self-love. This is where we love the child and we strengthen our connection with ourselves. So by being triggered, the way this Wetiko virus runs rampant through our mind is by creating thought loops. And thought loops are that which are the real virus. It's dreamland. We are hypnotizing ourselves. When I say that this satanic force and that which governs the satanics are ancient master psychologists, they know how to hypnotize, but eventually the end point of that hypnosis is our self-hypnosis. We hypnotize ourselves through thoughts that we're thinking and the way we behave into those preconceived ideas that we have about ourselves. Awakening is realizing we truly, step by step, and unfold naturally within our being. And I'll be talking more about this in come videos. And these thought loops are all based either in the past or in the future. So the past is all about regret. Everything that we regret in our life, could have done better, how we could have managed that situation better, or how we're paying the price in the now, things that happened in the past. All illusions that trap us. Recognize that everything serves the purpose of our learning, and everything can be transformed by changing our perception of our circumstance and our situation. As I talked about in yesterday's video, changing perception changes everything. Or we look to the future and have worry, doubt, fear of what's going to happen. This COVIDian regime is going to get even more tyrannical and more insane and more totalitarian, building camps, for the unread to go into and be force-read. Do not worry, for the future we change now by becoming aware of how we are being played. These thought loops are the symphony of Matrix. And think of whatever song really you don't want to hear. Oh no, not this. That's Matrix. The Matrix is noise. It's noise we don't need anymore to let go of. Because this is what the core foundational questions in life are about. How do I get out of this prison? Well, we can see it with this picture here. It's the mind. Okay, and go back to the hijacking mind that this mind virus is expert in. They hijack the mind to get tied in these thought loops and identify these thought loops of past, regrets, or future, fear of to come and not being present now. That distorted and unbalanced state of mind is going to reject the matrix of illusion. Reject that reality. We are the creators of our reality, and we have created this situation together with the forces of limitations, these psychopaths. And on a higher level of understanding of how this game of life is being played, those psychopathic beings, although we don't like them, they serve a learning lesson for the evolution consciousness of our soul. That is a principle. And when we disconnect from those thoughts, break the circuit, that's only we can do that. And regular meditation and regular activity. With me, for example, what helps me is my daily Qigong routine, daily meditation, going running every 2 days. Those regular activities and also get the poison out of our bodies and make the body the vessel for the transmissions of the earth, real insight, real wisdom, real knowledge, gnosis come into our being. We need to pair the ground that by having a clean body. And then the movie screen has to change when we're not emotionally attached anymore to that which is happening, and that's already on the movie screen. The time to change how we interact with reality is now by realizing it's our mind that ejecting that. The only way we're going to get out, and I'll keep continuing saying, is heart anchor intelligence, having an anchor in our heart. And that's the place, the point of attention, this energy of the heart, and everything is energy, frequency, vibration. And the energy of the heart is manifested outside of us as an environment that is true reality, substantial reality, original reality, natural reality. Only goes into resonance the heart. However, we have these onion rings of stuck emotions and traumas that we've had since childhood and have continued to have throughout our life. It's a given. At any point, at any one point, all of us are traumatized. That's part of the experience here of displaying duality, where light and dark exist at the same time. And those onion rings of emotions represent those artificial layers of matrix. The matrix is a construct of the mind and is represented mentally and emotionally, a mental and emotional mind control program that can be symbolized and looked at like onion rings of emotions trapped in our body that we can only get out by solving them, by facing them. And it's the longest journey we'll ever make, getting back into the heart. This is why the awakening is called a journey, because it's not a place we get to. Freedom is not a place we just magically get to. It's a step-by-step progression. It's a long-term project that we've been embarking on for how many years? Many, many years. And when the ultimate final drop hits the barrel, which makes the barrel spill over, we'll think, oh, it's good I kept going. It's good I kept going. And that drop that fills up the whole barrel can happen at any time. Anchor ourselves in the heart. And this brings those fundamental hardcore principles the surf can only get there, the use of discipline, of what we engage in, with what information, and we can engage any information. There is no, oh, you should form yourself. No. It's the mental hygiene that we do, the awareness that we disengage again, away from the information that we saw on the world drama stage, and realize that all of these players and these events and circumstances and all the happenings in the world relating to the crisis face as a civilization is all playing out on that stage. And we need to ask, what is happening backstage? How does it relate to our own minds? And that can only change things from the inside out. Only works that way. Those are principles of the game life, and the most hidden principle that any black magician, any sorcerer does want us to know. So let's know and act according to that mission. And align with the source. Align with the source. So your greater being. For, as I also said in yesterday's video, this control system wants to control us even more and more and more. It's completely obsessed with us. Now you're not obsessed, and you don't want to control totally beings like we are if there's nothing to, well, guess what? When the influence of our greater being can flow through us, we can change the whole game. And we can break the circuit of thoughts of matrix and end the simile of matrix and see what original reality is about. Align with the source. And that's why I also shared with you. I shared with you in a long video yesterday. It's like a spiral effect. But in order to spiral up, go up, frequency, as is often said in New Age teaching. Okay, you need to raise your vibration. Well, how do you do that? By descending into the underworld. Okay, facing your own fears. And realize there's nothing to fear. It was our mind that was the biggest problem that we had. Those thought loops, that's the virus. That's the biggest problem that we have. That's the insanity. The 97% thoughts that we already thought the day before. That's prison, that's the nature of prison, that's what we need to get out of. Then we manifest freedom more, but that takes discipline. As I've encountered again now. And what I realized is like, I was feeling down, disempowered, depressed. I was like, what's this all about? Get up again. Just wake up in the morning with a smile on your face, look yourself and say, and step by step, I'll be initiated to do the right action, because that's what this comes to. You'll create the life of dreams, the life of freedom that we're all craving for, is by going to our deepest fear and just feeling, okay, become aware of how these thought loops work. They work through trigger. When we get triggered in whatever way, instead of judging yourself, that's what the mind does. That is the hijack of the mind, this virus, is by judging us. You feel this emotion in your belly, and then instantly the mind reacts to that feeling. And then we judge ourselves and like this and that, and then the thought loop plays out. Realize how you're creating that reality. If we just get that feeling, you get triggered and you just stay with it. I'm good, I love myself, I'm changing my approach to it. I love myself, this is a trigger, just healing that and let it go through, just feel it, and then that emotion is gone. Another onion ring bites the dust, another artificial layer of this matrix of visualization of the soul, and one step closer to turning reality freedom, which we're in the day we will get back. Thanks for your attention, thanks for support, watching these videos, spread them everywhere you can. Much love to you, see you next time, bye bye.